fathers, brother knights, and guests, welcome to Father Joseph's roast. Wait a minute, I gotta smile for this picture and I can't hold his face very long. Most of you know by now that this is being sponsored by Monsignor O'Grady, Knights of Columbus Assembly, who meets here at Consolatas every month. We're here to honor Father Giuseppe Cesana, also known as Father Joe. To me personally, I guess I was one of the first ones from the Knights of Columbus to meet Father Giuseppe. Back when he first arrived here, I guess it was around April of the year 2000. Had a meeting with Father Viscardi, and this little guy was sitting next to me. I wasn't aware at the time who this little guy was. It's you. And Father Viscardi was talking to us and telling us that he was leaving, which made us very sad. And told us this new guy would be taking over. And looking at him, I said to myself, if nothing else, at least I got somebody my size. Well, that was around, like I say, April. And I'll never forget some of the words that Father Viscardi had told Father Joseph. He said, whatever you do, keep an eye on this man. Because if you ever need help, he's the man you'll go to. Well, 2 months later, I wound up at St. Peter's Hospital. I was almost shaking hands with the angels. And who was there by my side more times than I could count, more times than my family, was this little guy, Father Joe. Well, I recovered from that, as you can see, unfortunately for a lot of people. And I got to know Father Joe a little bit better. Less than a month later, my wife and I had a family tragedy. Again, who was there for us but this little guy by the name of Father Joe. Now, in those 10 years, including today, by the way, when we had another family tragedy, Father Joe has always been there for Helen and I, and our families. Not just Helen and I, but her sisters and brothers, and my brothers, and my family. Father Joe had become to us, Helen and I, more than a priest, more than a friend, more than just some guy we know. To us and to my family, he has become family. And if anybody in this crowd hates to see him go, it's going to be Helen and I. I'm going to miss him dearly. As I said, not just for us, but as you're probably here through the course of the day, for the Knights of Columbus themselves, Father Joe has always been there. And if you had a problem, and you didn't tell him about it, he told you about it. Why didn't you tell me? I would have been there. I didn't want to bother you, Father Joe. You don't bother me, that's what I'm here for. A very compassionate man, a very loving man. I'm getting a little emotional myself right now, so I think before I go too much further, I'm going to call on our first speaker and let her tell you her story about Father Joe. Seal, Nigro, would you please? I get a piece of paper for you to stand on.
has a tremendous appetite. Oh. And you know, several years ago, when my husband and he would be sitting in the afternoon having their glass of wine, and he'd come over for exercises. He exercised. He swam in the pool, and then Joe and he would sit there, and I would come home from work, and they were like two kids who got caught with their hands in the cookie jar, you know. She's home from work. Great. But to get back to what I really wanted to say was that Father Joe never had lobster. He never tasted lobster until one day we were talking about it, and we found out that he didn't know the better things in life. So Joe said, okay, I'm going to teach you about lobster. We took him to Larry's, and he enjoyed lobster so much so that it was like almost a ritual. Friday nights, we go to Larry's for lobster, and he enjoys lobster. In fact, he just mentioned to me a few minutes ago that before he goes back to Italy, we have to go another Friday night. That work at the Consolata in the afternoon. Oh, I'm going for my exercises. They all knew where he was going. He was going to the Nigros.
I would like to now call on another one of his friends, Joe D'Amato.
I met Father Joe a few years back at Our Lady of Peace Church, and he was doing some cleaning on the property of the Consolata. He was doing some cleaning on the Consolata mission, the property, and he was looking for a chipper. So I told him, I have a chipper at home you're welcome to borrow.
What's a chipper?
To shred the branches and leaves and all that. So about a week later, he came to church to celebrate Mass, and he had a bandage on his finger. I said, well, at least it's not the middle finger, you know. So about a year later, he decided he wanted to do sausage. We do sausage in Pennsylvania with a bunch of friends. He wants to join us to do sausage. I said, guys, you know, I have a priest. He wants to do sausage with us. Everybody said, priest? Come on, we don't need it. I said, but this guy, he said, promise he will take his collar off. So he came, and the first year he cut his finger. The second year I bought a Kevlar glove for him from work, and he managed to chew it up, but he didn't cut his finger. The third year we put him by the stove, just to do some cooking and eating, and that was it. But we're gonna miss you, and I'm glad our paths have crossed.